Hello, and welcome to the first ever episode 8 of No Man's Sky Explorers.
We're on 8?
We're on 8. We've got it this far.
Number 8.
Yes.
It
Number
still says
8,
7
Dylan.
on the paper, though, because Ryan won't ever change
Shut
it.
up. My name's Ryan.
Oh, I'm Joelle.
I am 7th time reoccurring guest, Dylan.
Just say Dylan the intern.
Not
It's so
I
much
look at that,
easier.
Dylan
Not
the
saying
intern.
it.
It's so much easier.
I'm Dylan the not intern.
You're going to make this really difficult.
Ryan's frustrated right now. We have another guest here today, actually, with us.
Oh,
no.
the one and only professor. Oh, wait, I should just say, holy crap, we have a guest on the show again.
Another one.
I know, we've made it this far. We're big now.
Something
All right.
like
Oh
that.
my god. And
So,
All right, you two.
Introduce yourself, sir.
and I had to pay my way to get on this thing too by bringing pizza tonight. So
This is true.
it's not even a paid position here.
Dylan knows.
Yeah, well, I'm Jeff. I'm actually Joelle's father.
What?
Yeah, she really wasn't spawned out of
Nepotism.
aliens. She really has a mom and dad.
This was really hard news for me to hear when I was about 7. I really want to be from Aliens.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff, you want to give us a little more of your background?
Well, yeah. I have a good, strong science background. I've got a couple degrees in science from the University of Wisconsin at Madison. Molecular biology, zoology, and pharmacy. Did experimental cancer therapy for a few years. Did immunology research for a few years. So I've been brought on to talk a little bit about the science part and how realistic things are and just different aspects of the show.
Absolutely.
I did not know about the zoology one.
You didn't?
Nope.
Yeah.
I didn't know about any of those.
You just have like every
told you all
ology
those,
in your
Ryan.
arsenal. Like, yeah, I know a couple things about science. And just, I know everything about everything there is. You know,
I'm
no
not a
big
quantum
deal.
physicist or
Yeah,
anything like that, although it is fun to look at. So
That's fair. That's fair.
to dwell, just dive in a little bit at times.
This is why I wanted to be from Aliens.
All right, so before we actually do an official guest segment, which we haven't done in forever, I'm so excited. I just want to do a couple things real quick. I just wanted to thank all of our Patreon supporters for supporting what we do. We really appreciate it. It is awesome, and I just want to thank everybody that sent in questions to all of our different facets. And I just want to say that probably from now on, we aren't going to be able to answer every question anymore. I wasn't able to grab every single one for this show. It's just too much. But, I mean, that's a good thing. Thank you guys so much for posting so many different things. We will get to the ones that kind of just stuck out the most for me when I was looking through them. So, thanks a bunch. And before we go to the guest segment, I do want to go over the fan favorite review segment real quick, because everybody loves it. We have Stencil Pencil, best name ever. Stencil Pencil 5. Wait, that's not the right name. Why'd you put in the wrong name? No, that's the right name.
That is
What?
Why are you
the
looking
name.
at me while you say this? Because I have
Ryan,
no clue
what
what
are
you're
you
talking
talking?
about.
None of us write this other than you. No one touches
No one touches
this.
I
this.
think I copy and pasted it wrong. Hopefully that's Stencil Pencil with a 5-star review. Says, eagerly awaiting for No Man's Sky. This podcast is a great listen for anyone who is trying to not lose their minds waiting for this game. Although they love talking about their own reviews, believe it, they are also very knowledgeable and excited about No Man's Sky. Thanks, guys, for taking the time to do this podcast. It helps calm my nerves.
I have no clue how that's even physically possible when you have Ryan and I going at about 150 miles an hour constantly. But we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's always awesome. That's our only review for this week, so thank you so much, Stencil Pencil. Best name ever.
It's a good name.
I like that
Dylan
name.
approves.
It's Dylan approved, so I mean, you're already set to go.
You're ready, man. You're ready. You're ready for the big shots. All right, so let's go. Hurry up to the guest segment. Wow. Believe it, it's here. It's happening.
It's happening
Can you
again.
believe
Top
it?
of the agenda.
It's on the piece of paper that we didn't print out.
That's on the phones?
Why don't we
Yes.
get to the guest segment?
Right, let's get there. Okay.
Oh my god.
All right, so Jeff, you already gave
Yes.
a little bit of introduction to yourself. I have a couple questions for you, and I know you have a couple questions for me. We'll see how much they interlap.
Yes,
This is
yes,
gonna
yes,
be
yes.
juicy.
It's gonna get juicy in here.
There
Oh,
might be
God.
a
Here we go.
couple of furniture thrown around the room.
We might have to
Ooh.
bleep out a couple.
If not
Words.
every single word said following these questions. All right, let's get started.
Joel's just looking at me like, shut
Somehow I'm
up.
already
Is that-
tired with these people in my house.
I'm actually the furthest away from Ryan that I can be in their apartment, I think, and it's probably a good thing.
yeah.
All right, so
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
what is your favorite confirmed feature of No Man's Sky?
Oh my lord, where do you even start with this? But I think the thing most intriguing to me is what is in the center of the galaxy, and that's not it's confirmed something's there, but
Right.
what is it? Now, purely scientific standpoint, almost every galaxy that's been looked at, what is in the center of the galaxy? Do you guys know?
Nope. Well,
black-
I could guess.
typically
It's a black hole.
Typically
Right,
a black
yeah.
hole,
It's
yeah.
typically a black
Because
hole.
it's a mass that's pulling everything towards it, keeping it in a ring format, typically, depending on the
In
galaxy.
well, different theories with that, but yes, there's just the whole gravitational pull of the galaxy can keep things in that ring or sphere or different formation of whatever the galaxy happens to be. But in most every galaxy they've looked at, there's a black hole. What happens when you approach a black hole? Get really close, not to that point of no return, but what
Very, very
what
close.
happens?
Time is distorted
Time is distorted
by a lot.
a lot.
By a ridiculous.
Right.
Ridiculous
So, if Sean is really going to go with a true scientific format, you may see a black hole in the center of this galaxy. That's a whole nother topic of discussion. Is it a galaxy? Is it a universe? But what is there? How is that going to come into play? Okay. The other thing, and I'm not sure if you guys know this, but most people think black hole, nothing escapes. Wrong. Black holes emit very high velocity plasma gamma rays at usually a perpendicular angle of some sort. Really high velocity. So what's with that? Could you possibly get sucked into the black hole and get shot out at a high velocity to where? Could you? Could I mean high amounts of gamma radiation? What is that going to possibly do?
Turn you into the Hulk, obviously.
So
The real question, Jeff, is even if you're at that velocity, would you even feel it?
probably not.
Because there's nothing to have friction with
right,
in space.
but
Because you're probably dead.
but at that
More logical approach right there.
but at that speed, where is it going to take you?
Because you're shooting at, like, this makes light speed look slow.
Right.
Well, yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and it is intense. So that whole concept, what is in the middle? What is going to happen at that next step? I mean, that's one of the keys to real science too. What is in there? So if they're going to follow something very realistic and probable, this could be interesting to Stephen Hawking.
Real question is, Jeff, have you seen Interstellar? They deal with black holes quite a lot in that movie.
I've heard it's a very sad movie.
According to
It's
Joel.
so damn
So
sad.
I
It's not even
can't
that sad.
bring myself to do
Joel in the
that.
corner.
So
Okay, Ryan's
Well,
mom agrees it's sad.
I would love to talk to you about that movie once you've seen it.
we can have a whole nother episode.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I can come back on that.
It's a-
So we
it's a-
can talk about that
Work
too.
of-
Am I allowed to branch off quickly with what he just said about a theory I have now made?
Sure.
Yes.
Because someone once mentioned they like my theory that the Atlas is at the center of the universe and, it's like corrupted or, something's wrong with it. Perhaps the Atlas is at the center there of the galaxy with the black hole, but the black hole is shut down, so it's blocking it, so there's no distortion and it's blocking you from traveling outside of that through a black hole.
It just wants to go find friends.
It does. just my
find the
just my
other
brain
Atlas
blast
that's
here.
been separated.
I'm all excited now.
From the Atlas pack.
Very cool. Very cool.
So
All right.
that's the key thing for me. There's all sorts of neat, just unique things that you could do here, but what is in that middle? Will I ever get there? I don't know. I mean, there's so much to do. I don't know if I'm ever going to make it to the middle, but be interesting to see.
I was going to say, Spore, too. Did you ever get the center of the galaxy in Spore, Dylan?
Ryan, I got to the space age and said, this is stupid. I don't like this anymore. And then stopped playing the game forever. So, your answer is no.
Typical COD player Dylan over here.
Yep.
Oh,
I don't know if I should spoil it. It's not that big of a deal. There's almost nothing to spoil.
Just
but...
tell us.
Okay,
Go ahead.
so it's an old enough game, whatever. So in Spore, when you go to the center of the galaxy, which the stars, basically what happens is your warp drive gets, like, the closer you get to the center, you're not allowed to jump as far, so it gets harder and harder to get to the center the closer you get.
I feel like that's backwards, but okay.
Yeah, roughly. But when you get there, you basically just, I forgot exactly what you find, but it's a complete joke. Like, they're like totally mess with you. And it's like, just, I remember it being funny. I don't remember exactly what happened, but then they just give you like a couple items and you're on your way. And you're just like, oh, okay.
Well,
There's nothing here. Ha, 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 ha.
you know, something Sean said in one of his interviews, it's got me a little intrigued too, that possibly, Dylan, you said Hulk, you know, mutation. Well, Sean says the closer you get to the center, the stranger things become, the different, weirder and stranger the creatures become.
Sean also
dangerous.
said that every mechanic has a lore behind it.
Yes, and there's a
lore.
lore. So is that due to increased gamma radiation from the area? You know, it really
was
kind of
like-
stuck out in my mind.
I was like half joking when I said the Hulk thing, because like, oh, gamma rays, Hulk, but that's actually a really, I'm very excited right now.
Yeah.
I'm
extra excited.
I'm extra excited.
I just rewatched every single trailer yesterday, so I'm up. I'm ready to go.
You're ready to go? Pumped up? That's a really good idea. That's a.
Okay, so next question for you,
Yes.
Jeff. How do you feel about the game taking a more unrealistic approach? And now, when I say unrealistic, I mean sci-fi approach.
This is one thing that, as a scientist, that I was hoping they weren't going to go to extremes.
Right.
And they are, because in the frozen planet, they're at minus 160 Celsius. I mean, that's
Actually, minus 200 or something Celsius.
in the dark, right? But in what they were showing, it was a minus 160.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah, but they said I remember Sean saying it gets even colder.
Right.
Well, I mean, at that point, nothing. I mean, even methane freezes.
Now there were some people talking about that on the subreddit, and they were mentioning, I don't remember exactly how they explained it, carbon-based life.
Well, that's another.
Or silicon
okay.
based as well.
Yeah.
Well, and that's another question I had too to bring up. But you know, for me, it's a question of, okay, where is the science going? Are they taking some of these extreme planets? For example, the hottest planets, they're so hot water cannot exist. I mean, it only results in vapor. So liquid water cannot exist in these conditions. What is inside these organisms? I mean, they just can't survive. So,
Based on I guess what we've seen though.
Right.
right. So what is there? Is it I mean, are they going to the extremes? Are they going to non-carbon-based life forms? Are they going to silicon-based, boron-based, plasma life forms? All these other conceptual forms of life.
Would you be happier if they didn't bring those things up, or if they did bring them up in the game?
I would be thrilled if they brought them up.
Like maybe you could find a little snippet of a journal here that has a small insert here about a scientist that was doing this, or little things like that.
Or just to even be able to examine these creatures and see how they function, why they're functioning. That would be much more entertaining for me to see what their conceptualization of non-carbon-based life forms are and how they function. Because there really isn't a lot out there. And so to see what, you know, a mind like Sean has got can take that and grasp it and what he could do with it.
Right.
To me, it's really intriguing.
Right. And Sean has said also that when it comes to like when he's like dealing with things that, because actually Sean leans on your side when it comes to things being realistic. He originally wanted the game to be very realistic, but then his art director convinced him to go a more unrealistic route.
And that's
It's
okay.
unrealistic. It's an unrealistic background that has basically a built-up scientific background or like lore to it. Like it's actually
It might not be
supported by
real science, but it's science
but
in
it
their
is
universe.
Science in that physical universe that functions.
Science fiction science.
Exactly. It functions the exact same way in that universe.
Same thing with the distance between the planets to the stars. The planets are very clustered together, very close. So you can see them on the horizon because they said they wanted to go for that science fiction book cover feel where you could always see a planet on the horizon.
And that's fine.
So,
I can live with that aspect.
I am curious to see if they really explain it in detail, though, of why things are that way.
But here's a question. I know Sean keeps saying, okay, some of these things I don't even want to show you because they're not idealistic yet. They're not the final version. What I did see, though, I'm a little, from a scientist standpoint, I'm a little concerned. I feel maybe that art director or whoever is in charge of setting these limits, upper and lower limits, or however you want to view these limits of various formations, that they may have constrained them too far. Because look at life on Earth. I mean, you've got a green pine tree with a bright red cardinal sitting in it, and underneath it maybe a white rabbit. Everything that I've seen in the pictures, you don't see that true uniqueness and diversity of life. Everything seemed real homogeneous. If you go to one planet, a lot of the colors of the creatures and the plants were all the same. You go to another one, and they're okay, they're a little different, but you don't see the diversity.
Now that's actually something that Dave touched on in actual conventions they've gone to. Like, the artist has done a lot of different things, and he was at a convention, and I listened to a lot of his talking there, and he was talking about procedural art and how to, and because they are going for a more, artist approach rather than realistic, right? We talked about that. But they were talking about complementary colors and how they've all decided that they want planets to be mostly one biome each. They're going for a sci-fi approach similar to Star Wars, where you have Tatooine, and that's the desert planet, and that's the desert planet. Hoth, and that's the snowy planet, and Hoth's the snowy planet. And so they want to go for that approach, and it's not because they want to limit themselves, it's because they want to encourage exploration. And they feel like if you could find every single biome on the same planet, why would you leave? Why would you go find new things?
Correct. No, I understand. And that's logical. That is the way it should be. But the artistic concept of the variation within everything in that biome seems to be too compressed.
From what we've seen so far, I can definitely agree with that. The colors and the style, like when we see the toxic planet.
Oh God, that was weird.
That was
that was weird.
Everything is some shade of green on that planet, which is one of those things. Or on the snow planet, what is it called again?
Bolari 5.
Bolari 5, that everyone loves
red
seeing
and white
1,000 times. Everything is red and white. That is it. And then
even the
there's
leaves.
Some gray. There's a couple things here and there, which I can understand that if that's like the only, whatever. Element can survive up to that point, blah blah blah, to it can exist in this condition in a life standpoint. I don't know.
When they talk about their periodic table as well, we'll talk about more about this later. When they talk about their periodic table, they talked about how having things that we know of in real life, and then they made up their own things on the periodic table, and they said, in order to justify this in our lore, we had to create this periodic element in order to say this could be this color and this is why. Same with certain colored atmospheres and things like that. There's nothing like that in real life. Like, you can't have this random green atmosphere without having a certain thing to back it up of why it is green. Sure. And so maybe that's one of the reasons why a lot of the things seem very homogeneous like that on certain planets. Maybe it has something to do with the way the periodic table is, or...
Maybe you're looking too much into it. Maybe it's just an art choice.
Well, it is absolutely an art choice.
Maybe there's nothing deeper behind it.
But they always back it up.
They do.
They always back up what they choose to do. So whether if it made up science or not, they still back it up with something that is relevant in their universe.
Sure.
So it would still make sense, at least in the terms of the game.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying this is what it is because you need to suspend disbelief.
To me, I would love it if I would see more coral reef type diversity. Right. Where you look at a coral reef, you see one of everything, there, and I just see a lot of just very limited.
Sorry to.
No, that's okay.
One of the biggest things that people hate about procedural generation is they feel like things will always technically be different every single time, but they start to all look the same whether they're different or not. And that's one of the biggest beefs with procedural generation is that things can look different, but after a while you start noticing your brain starts connecting the dots of the patterns and things like that, and things don't look as interesting anymore because you're starting to understand how the system is making it. And so I think maybe that's one of the things they're trying to get over, like that hurdle of the procedural generation thing of things looking similar by maybe they're purposely showing planets that not necessarily are dull, but have similar things. So yeah, when people are like, "Oh yeah, that looks boring because it's procedural generation," and I know I'm going to get used to that really fast. Maybe then when people start playing the game, they'll be like, "Holy crap, they were misdirecting us." Oh my god.
Are you okay?
I'm having a
okay right
seizure
now?
over here. But like they've done it before.
Yeah.
So
no, they definitely
so
have.
that could be what they're going for.
And they also have only shown us like this like small area of this one
Right,
planet.
and I'm hoping
that's where
I'm
I'm
more diversity
hoping-
around the planet.
right,
things like that,
and
yeah.
that maybe these are still early, you know,
that's
early
builds of
procedures
the
that
game.
they're doing, and that's they're just giving us glimpses. I'm hoping. Let's just
Right,
put
and
it,
actually,
let's just
Sean
put it
Murray
that way.
just put up a Twitter post saying he finally, after 3 years, got the terrain to generate the way he wanted it to. And this is
Really?
after the last footage we saw.
Yeah.
He said I've never been able to make it truly like not random, but truly so
What
it
I
doesn't
wanted it
repeat
to
any
be.
cycles or anything like that. He's finally got it to do that,
Well-
and it took him so long.
Sure. Well, there's a point. This whole concept of procedural generation is it's in infancy. I mean, it really is
No, it
just
really
the
is, yeah.
beginning.
I got some good questions on
And
that later.
where can it go?
Right.
Where it can only get better.
The podcast with Game Informer with Sean Murray, they were taking questions from the audience, and one of the questions were, have you thought about selling, because Sean Murray and the team made, actually I'm pretty sure Sean Murray specifically, when they first started development on the game, just with the couple people he
built the formula, right?
he built the engine for the game from scratch. He's not using somebody else's engine, he's not licensing it, he has his own engine that he built from scratch. So one of the questions was, hey, are you gonna like think about licensing out this new engine for other companies to use? Could you imagine Skyrim with this procedural generation
Wow.
down to the level of just a couple
back
kilometers?
off, man. Back off.
He's
Back
logged
off.
probably well over like what?
Oh,
Like
That's one of my
it's like a few hundred
Right.
hours into that
Oh,
game.
But like, could you imagine
yes.
imagine a full RPG, a procedural RPG that with the amount of diversity of everything in the galaxy, but just down to a couple kilometers,
Yes.
like all the diversity you'd see just in that. So there's a lot of questions of whether they're going to actually license out the software for other companies to use. So that'd be really cool.
And if they do that, they
They'd
can
be
probably
rich.
expound upon that engine.
But
But
then-
where is that going to take
Yeah,
it?
where could then other companies then go with that and take the
Right.
idea, because
Right.
yeah, they're a small team, and yeah, there are plenty of instances that AAA titles can goof with things, but if
Right.
you get a good company that really wants to do something and has an upwards of 1,000-man team working on a game, you could get
I mean, you
unbelievable
got.
things
I think there
done.
may be up to 18 or 20 people working on the game now. It's such a small team being able to
But
make what
that's
they've made.
so small.
I know AAA. The reason why AAA titles don't try to do anything like this is because they're afraid of failure. You know, they're afraid they're going to put all this, or it's not going to make as much money as they need it to make. So it'd be interesting to see a team as big as a AAA team actually tackle something like this instead of somebody like Sean Murray's team who are willing to take the risk because it's something they've dreamed about making their whole life. You know.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. I mean, already from pre-orders and all those things, I'm pretty sure they've made their money times a million.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about it. All right, we're going to go on to the next question.
Yes.
Well, what do you know? Any thoughts on the periodic table in the game?
Yes, and I'm very intrigued by that because it's known that as humans we can actually create new elements. They're not very stable, but we can create new things on the periodic chart. It happens every so often that a scientist will come up with something that's new and stable that'll last for a long enough time to be detected. So the whole concept of this alien foreign component to the periodic table that we know of, where can that take you with life? Where can that take you with structure? With what can you do with it? The other concept I thought that was kind of unique was, okay, everything that we know about carbon-based video games are all based on carbon life forms.
Right.
What guns, weaponry, everything's based upon what it does to carbon-based life forms. What do we know about what these things would do to non-carbon based
Right.
life forms. So do you need special weaponry protection against these other forms of life? So I think it's just unique.
Right. I think it's cool. Like one of the earliest videos, he said, hey, there's a periodic table in this game, and there's a crafting element, and you can mix anything you want on the periodic table and create different products that you can sell
Yep.
to different space stations and stuff like that. So I'm like, oh my god, can you imagine all the different things you could combine
Right.
and try to make any? They've even said they're not going to even tell you what they're going to make. People got to figure it out on their own what kind of products they're going to make, and they don't know what each thing is going to make. So that'll be really interesting, just messing around with the periodic table and mixing stuff together and seeing what you get.
So there'll be a few of us geeks that'll really be, getting off on stuff like this.
Yeah,
So,
that'd be fun.
Mhm.
My whole thing with it that I'm interested in, I guess, seeing is if they're going to take it to a like very heavy extreme and do things with isotopes
Oh.
and tackling
Oh.
something along those lines, because
Ooh.
these like the amount that you can the amount you'd be able to do with something like that, I highly doubt it, because now you're talking like molecular science and like really going deep into it. But that would be very interesting to see what they'd be able to do with that, especially in life forms.
Oh, yes. And what it would do to life forms?
Exactly. All the
Mhm.
crazy, because there's like different types of like, you can take oxygen 16 and oxygen 18 depending on the level of the polar ice caps in the current Earth. Certain types of like shellfish will have different levels and different basically chemical makeups of their shells based on, and certain will be able to live, and then certain ones will be able to not live in certain types of things, which is
This could be very
insane. And I hope
Yeah.
they do something like that, because that would be very, very cool.
Do you think they have someone there with that science to be able to apply that to the game?
I wonder.
I think, to me, the fact how they're trying to keep it, they're trying to keep it very scientifically heavy. The fact that they have a periodic table and they built their own periodic table, to me is unbelievable, because I don't think any game's actually taken something like that to an extent like this, like ever. And that you can break down things to an elemental level and a molecular level, like that is ridiculous and very, very cool. I don't know. I think that I think they'd have to have somebody there that was certain types
maybe
of
they're
scientists
consulting
they're working.
someone.
That's what I
Consultant.
think.
Even though usually from all we
Consulting,
hear is the super rich, famous, smart people are usually consulting them. So
Oh, yeah.
that's from what we've heard
Yeah,
recently.
which is, I think, kind of cool.
That is
Like,
very
holy crap,
cool.
you're making this amazing thing that no one's ever done before.
Very
So,
cool.
There's
Yeah.
that too.
So it'll be interesting to see
Oh,
where they
it will.
can, I guess, how deep they're going to go with the actual science.
And let's
it
remember, even if some of those things aren't built into the game originally, they can add them later if they
Yes,
want to go
can
deeper
be
into certain
patched.
things.
Yeah, exactly.
Depending on what the people want.
Yeah.
And then based on all this too, I wonder how many people are going to stay within their own solar system that they're originally placed and just try to hash everything out in there. Who cares about the next system? I mean, I'm trying to find everything within this one system.
You know all the
and
different mountain ranges of this
you've
planet.
got
You've
this
named
whole
the
thing
continents.
done. I
Yeah.
mean, who cares about the universe? So I'm just the whole concept. You can do anything in this game. You can stay put for the rest of your life and probably not see everything.
Put on a
Well-
VR helmet.
Well, the thing is how long have humans been exploring the planet Earth, and how long have we had the technology, and how many human beings are on Earth right now? But the technology to actually like topographically map things out, and we still have not discovered every single inch of this planet.
That's right.
Well, how long would it take one person on one planet? It doesn't even have to be Earth-sized
It
to
could be
discover
moon-sized, and it'd
everything,
still be
and
so
it would
hard.
still you would
And
take lifetimes,
It would take you forever.
which is
Granted, you'd have a little easier accessibility with having a really easy to fly spaceship. But
agreed. But
with possibly
still-
a scanner on it.
Exactly,
Sure.
but still, on top of that, the fact that you could, on your own planet, you could spend more than a lifetime discovering new things.
That's true.
Is
Yeah.
New
oh,
terrain,
it's so,
new
it's so cool.
and
Yeah,
even
it's
underwater
so cool.
caves. I mean, you're talking about, and then not even the surface, cave networks, map out all the cave networks, see where they go.
Underwater.
Like Sean said, that one cave he went into, I went back and there were quite a ways. I couldn't even figure out where the end of it was. It's like, oh my gosh.
And he doesn't know either, let me tell you.
No. Like, oh my gosh.
How deep the oceans would go and things along those lines.
Yeah.
That's going to be really interesting.
So a lot of unique things with this.
All right, and we'll just go through this, and maybe some of your questions will get answered automatically while we go through this, and then we'll grab any extra ones that you have at the end here.
Okay.
What's your opinion of easily being able to leave a planet and land on another? Basically, the atmospheres being thin enough for you to just fly right down and then fly right out.
I guess a strong enough ship to be able to
That
do that
too.
too. Kind of a mix between the two.
This isn't a flight simulator.
That's
true. This is not, Combat Flight Simulator 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever it was from back then. So, no, to me that's the minor part of this game. It's just a way to get from one world to the next world to what's in between those worlds. That doesn't bother me at all.
I thought that would bother you the most for some reason.
Really?
I don't know why.
Really?
I kind of got that feeling too.
It's
honestly.
almost-
I don't
it's
know.
almost
It's just so
sciencey and more of
unrealistic,
a
perhaps,
gameplay
that I felt like that'd be the thing.
I
mechanic.
guess
to me.
that's not the point of the game.
That's true,
Fine. I can press a button and go to another planet. Fine. That doesn't bother me. What's important is what's there and what's in between. So
Cool.
it doesn't bother me.
I thought that would.
Yeah.
I thought
I
that'd
don't
be
know
more
why we got
intense.
that feeling. I didn't think that'd be
Wow.
the number one thing that. Yeah.
At least they have
Wow.
the
Even Sean said the same thing that you've said about it. Like, this is not a flight simulator. This is not like supposed to be super specific. If we made it super specific, no one would play this game except for people that would only play it for that reason.
Are you saying I'm thinking like Sean?
Yes.
Oh my.
I'm not worthy.
That's true.
Yes, that's very true.
Are any of us?
Sean is
are
worthy.
any of
No
us-
one is worthy of
exactly.
Sean. Let's be honest.
one
I
is.
am.
That's probably true.
Oh.
All right.
Why don't you marry her, you jerk?
I mean,
He'd actually help me clean the house.
Oh, that's true. He probably would.
well, I did the other day.
Yeah, he
Shut
has
up.
helped me clean the house.
Probably done more work around here than you have.
I'm learning more.
Yeah, that is without
Exactly
a doubt.
true.
All right, we'll stop beating on Ryan. We'll stop beating.
For a bit.
For
we'll be
now,
back.
For now.
All right. Next question. What are your thoughts on the procedural generation of the game? Animals, planets, etc. Everything in between. Ships, weapons, plants. Everything in this game is procedural. So, what do you feel like? Do you like the way things look? Are you impressed by how much they've been able to do? Just a little bit of everything.
Here's a question for you guys, and I haven't found the answer to this yet. Sean has said a couple of times in what I've watched that you go down to a planet, everything's procedurally generated in front of you.
Right.
You leave that planet. When you go back, he said it's procedurally generated again. So, does that mean that nothing is the same?
That's a great question. All right, so that is a very, very common misconception about the game. I think it's mostly Sean's fault because of the way he explains it. Basically, what it is the procedural generation is a math equation. Okay, so but the integer that you put in for the math equation is your location. Okay, so yes, the procedural generation will go again and it'll generate it all again, but because your coordinates are what your coordinates are every time, it will generate the same thing every single time.
Okay.
And there's an integer for time, so animals will be moved, different things would have happened, and it will generate that when it generates it. So you won't even notice that it's doing that.
That was my biggest concern.
Right.
What the whole concept of this, I think, is amazing. There's, depending on the programmers, again, this is all going to be up to the programmers, what they're going to allow to happen, what they are not going to allow to happen, and that's all going to be in the equations that they're using. But this whole concept, when you really stop and think, it could be almost limitless. Of course, now they're constraining things, and they've said they've chosen certain body types of animals and modifying those. They're staying somewhat focused on a small handful of concepts and trying to manipulate those. But if you expand those levels, I mean, what could you do?
Yeah.
I mean, and that expands it out to any other type of game that you could do with this. Skyrim, conceptual, generation, how that could play into a game like that. I mean, it'd just be unreal. I mean, even Far Cry. You think Far Cry, they've got some gorgeous graphics in there. Can you imagine if you applied this to Far Cry or a game like that? I mean, I'm just thinking of some games that I've played that good high definition TV, good quality, and it just takes your breath away sometimes.
Do you think the people that made those games are pissed off because they had to go and make all the terrain from scratch and put all these things in specific spots, and then Sean just programs it and it automatically does it?
If a person takes pride in their work, no. I'm sure they own that. They're proud of it, and they're going to say, "Damn, I did." Oops, sorry, excuse me.
Oh no, it's okay.
I did that. That's mine.
I said the F word on the last podcast.
Ryan
so it's okay.
said the F word last time.
Your mother-in-law heard that, by the way, Ryan. So.
I bleeped it.
Yeah.
I was just say I've already said damn. Well, not twice. It's the thing.
So this whole concept just intrigues me. It's a whole new level, and it's going to take video gaming and a lot of other things to just different places.
A lot of people think procedural generation is almost like a gimmick, almost like certain types of like VR. A lot of people think VR, virtual reality, is just a gimmick and it's never really going to blast off because the technology won't ever be at the place it needs to be. And a lot of people think
combine the two.
Oh, well, that's something that might happen.
Oh, it will. It might happen.
But,
of course.
But yeah, procedural generation is a huge, it's been done more times than people even realize it has been done. There's a lot of games that have tried procedural generation and generally failed because there wasn't enough variation or it was really easy to spot. No one's been able to really get the equations down to the level that it's good enough to be put into a game. Like No Man's Sky, it's completely depending on it. Completely. Like everything in that game, almost absolutely everything is procedurally generated. So putting that much faith in procedural generation, they got to really do it right compared to a lot of games that have tried it and failed, generally speaking. There's Spore, it's there's 10 different colors of planets, there's 10 different colors of land, there's 10 different colors of atmosphere, and that's it. And you notice it, and you're just okay, they're just randomly switching between colors and making a planet. And that's your brain figures that out really quick. And so, yeah, a lot of people consider procedural generation super gimmicky because it's just a way to, scratch off more work that you don't have to do,
But that's all in the programming.
Right, exactly.
If you broaden your limits,
if you've been programming it for 3.5 years to make it as specific as you can,
right? You're constricting everything. But if you broaden those limits,
the deeper,
but also not broaden them too much, so what you did was screwed up.
Yeah. The deeper you take the more advanced you take every integer is the more advanced the game can go. So I mean, give it enough time, give a bigger team, you could have something. I guess one thing I was thinking of that could take procedural generation to a ridiculous level is think of games like MMORPGs, like World of Warcraft, RuneScape, Fable 14, things along those lines. Think about developing entire worlds in those games and having specific servers for a procedurally generated world for something like this, and the entire history, the lore, everything procedurally generated with something like that. Because it just doesn't have to be terrain that's procedurally generated, or animals, that is. You can set limits to anything that it could create.
Because Sean has set, 3 life forms? Or 3
sentient races.
Right.
So
there's only 3.
Right.
So, I mean, broaden that.
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness.
And we don't even know if technically those are even... I don't think they're procedurally generated, actually.
I think those are one of the few things that they've set to not be procedurally generated, to my understanding.
That they've already, they created them the way they are.
Yeah.
Possibly, their masks and their body types procedurally generated, but still generally look like the race they are. But still, that's even a smaller scale of how to use procedural generation. This race always looks like their race, but every single person in that race could look different. Just like humanity looks different.
It's like the bar in Star Wars.
Exactly.
Let that procedurally generate in some of the movies. See what it comes up with.
Procedural movies. Ooh.
Why not?
Whoa.
You actually could do that, couldn't you?
You could.
I mean, if you can create procedural lore, and then you could set procedural... oh my goodness.
You could.
It's just going to be basically... And then the next thing you know, we have an AI uprising. A procedural generated uprising. Wow. It's already started.
Yeah.
Sean is the father of it all.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I'd be too.
I would praise him.
Yeah.
All
Our
right.
new overlord show. All right, now that we're getting really weird and off topic, probably hop back on there and.
Right. So
Next
we're actually
question.
done with questions for you, Jeff. So whatever questions you got from here,
I'm
or
just
us.
looking at, because I think we covered most of the things that I had questions for you. Yes, Joel?
I was gonna say I have a question. Very basic here. Do you have a pre-order?
I do not yet.
Oh.
No, I
Mute
do
his
not.
mic right now.
Actually, your
What's my
brother,
mic?
your brother almost did the other
Oh,
day.
really?
He was there and he almost did it. So yeah,
This is not Andy's kind of game. No offense to
No,
him.
no,
I don't
no,
feel
no,
like.
Maybe it could
no.
be.
Question for you. I when Sean was talking about how the whole terrain is generated, he mentioned sine waves. That everything is based, he described it everything based like a sine wave, and he even showed how he converted the terrain
Into a
using
sine wave, right.
standard sine wave, and yeah, that's exactly what you're going to get.
Right.
You're going to get the consistent peaks and valleys. To me, maybe I'm not understanding it correctly, but to me, this whole concept is more of a controlled chaos theory more than anything else. That, I mean, if you can just generate anything, you've got to hone that in, rein it in somehow in different capacities. So maybe I'm not understanding it correctly. How do you guys understand this whole concept?
Of terrain generation?
Well, just the whole idea. He's saying that based on sine waves, that you modify these sine waves. To me, that doesn't seem like it really covers it all.
No, not necessarily. Basically, imagine, like, when he's saying sine wave, he's simplifying it. In fact, I don't think what he's doing has anything to do with sine waves, except that it just happens to do with a low and a high. I think he's just trying to give people an image in their head of how this works. What I'm assuming is what's going on is there is a number, which is 1, and then there's a number, which is 100, and 100 is a peak of a mountain, and the 1 is the bottom, or how low it can go. And then there's a couple variables for variation, and then there's a couple variables in there for, certain terrain levels have to be close enough to each other so they don't look unnatural. You're not going 100 to 0 instantly. And it's just a variable after variable, and he just sets up an equation in a certain way so there is no possibility of something super weird to happen, and that's how you make those very natural terrain. The very natural looking terrain is by setting variables in a certain way so you can't have unnatural things happen. And then you can put in a variable that every once in a while there's a chance that this could happen, like an entire huge mountain range could happen, but everything in that mountain range has a certain variable it has to stick to so it looks like a mountain range. I don't know how to explain it better than that. Do you have something, Dylan?
Yes, I can. Well, it's more of a question, but I do have a interesting input because I guess the way I would look at it is with a lot of these variables, do you think he's going to be approaching it in a very geological standpoint? Like, is it going to follow from what we have seen on Earth at least, the geological patterns that can actually happen with certain things? Are mountain ranges, are there going to be tectonic plates? Are mountain ranges going to appear because of these tectonic plates? Is there going to be in the oceans? Will the oceans be dipping under each other and being basically consumed by a molten core on the planet and then recycled and spit back up, but in a million-year cycle or hundreds of millions of year cycle? But is there going to be these actual geological events that will physically make sense, I guess, to us? Again, they could have different things and different things happening depending on the planet and the elements and however they want to go about with that. But will it follow certain things along these lines? Will there be a ring of fire? Will there be volcanoes like this? Will there be different oceanic...
Are there going to be earthquakes?
Exactly.
Are there going to be weather patterns,
natural
tornadoes,
disasters, yep.
storms, things of that nature?
I can answer that because Sean's already mentioned it.
Okay.
All right, then.
He said that there will be weather patterns. Yes.
Okay.
He mentioned that there probably won't be extreme weather issues like tsunamis, earthquakes, stuff like that. But you never know. It could make the game. I mean, he said there weren't NPCs.
I was going to say, there weren't NPCs, right?
But as of right now, there are weather conditions and other things that the planet will do naturally, like how it rotates on its axis, and that's why it's day and night, not just because it's day and night. Not because he just programmed it away, but because the planet is rotating, that's why it's day and night. Same thing with the weather. There's going to be reasons for the weather to be in certain places and certain things that happen. So I'm sure I'm sure there'll be some surprises.
And there will be some planets that do not rotate.
I'm sure.
But just like the moon does not
Right.
rotate. Some rotate on the vertical axis, some rotate on a horizontal
Horizontal
axis.
axis.
So, I mean,
Well, we rotate on a 23.5 axis, correct?
variable.
I think yeah, like we're tilted at a 20. That's why we have seasons. That's why our winter is very cold here in Wisconsin, but Australia's winter is the hottest part of the year.
Right.
Kind of a thing.
is
Science.
Did you know that, Ryan?
Totally.
Ryan didn't know that. I
Learn
can
something
guarantee
new every
you that he
day.
did because
Who
he
needs to go to middle school when you can just not?
Wow.
You could be the poster child. Why
Oh
not
my
to homeschool?
Your mother must be so proud of you.
But yeah, those things, it's like, okay, I look at it in two ways. Yeah, it would be cool if like everything was based on things that specifically. Is that possible? Do I ever want this game to come out? Like, you know what I'm saying?
That's fair.
Like, is that possible to program in a reasonable amount of time so it's not just going to take forever? Maybe this is something they thought about at the very beginning and they've already implemented in the game. Maybe it's just not feasible with how small the team they have.
Or have they maxed out processing rates?
I feel like they probably have.
Probably. There's. I mean,
Well, the level of geological, I guess.
processors would have a hard
variation that
time
they could do,
with
too.
terrain changing behind the scenes. And
No.
things like
I'm
that.
not saying that the terrain would physically change behind the scenes because you're talking literally hundreds of millions of years. Like, we're not going to see that in this
Right.
game. I'm just saying that there is actual physical geological evidence that is shown through the game. Like, you can go through the history and understand. Like, on our planet, if we go down to the bottom of the ocean, we pull up some oceanic crust, and we look at it, we can understand how old that crust is and where it initially came from, like billions of years ago, like 2 billion years ago. We can figure out what that material initially was before it went through a metamorphic process in the center, well, in a multiclayer under the oceanic core, things along these lines. Ryan's mad because he doesn't understand science and he's
I
getting
totally-
confused.
I get it.
Dylan's talking my language, man.
I
I'm
totally
just-
get it.
I am like,
You are.
geology is my thing. Like, geology and paleontology are my thing. So like,
so
this
that's
is the
cool.
stuff that I like.
That's cool, but in the end, they're just generating terrain.
Right, but has Sean shown any planets with active volcanoes? With
No.
lava flows?
No.
Okay, what happens to a lava flow when it meets water? Stops, solidifies, makes new landmass. What about a volcano coming up through an ocean? Creates new landmass. So
Hawaii.
is the planet going to evolve in ways that life, like we know, see it?
Speaking of this, this is actually something that is really ridiculously cool that you probably didn't know. Hawaii, the Hawaii Islands. We know these, and they're volcanoes, correct? There is a hot spot underneath the oceanic crust there that is shooting up from the Earth's mantle.
Yep.
And there is a line of islands from about Alaska all the way to where Hawaii is currently, of small outcroppings of islands that are currently underwater but were above ground at a certain point in time, that have been basically, while the oceanic crust is over this part of the mantle, because they're two entities that are moving like almost a ball and socket. They're moved separate of each other basically, and it spits through the crust and basically creates a volcano, spits up lava through there, and then creates land. And it's been doing this for a very, very long time. And it's basically, there is a line of these small little islands, and then finally Hawaii has been the first set of islands in a while, basically with our current ocean level, that basically has it's above ground right now that we can see. But if you go underwater, you see that there is this line of islands that basically this hotspot has been creating the entire time, which is really cool. And it's stuff like, it's weird, I guess, geological stuff like that I think would be, I know they're probably not going to implement it, but is really cool and could have some really cool and interesting things happen in the game.
Even catastrophic events.
Exactly.
No.
Blowing up planets. Just
I
saying.
knew that was coming up.
Just
Can't
saying.
get through one episode
Knew
without
that was
it.
coming
On
up.
in Spore, you can create volcanoes and different things in order to terraform planets. So, ooh, I wonder if terraforming planets is going
Just
to be
about to say, if we want to take a step back from the old blowing up of the planets,
Yeah, that's old news.
that's old news
This
now.
is the new news.
Terraforming. That'd be interesting.
Can you take species from one planet, store it, and take it to the next planet that you discover?
And this is can you take that to the next level? Everyone's thinking animals right now. Think plants and what they can produce to then change the atmosphere on another planet.
Spore. It's done it.
Okay, what do they do?
That's a part of terraforming. You have to take animals and plants from other worlds in order to kind of basically every time you terraform it to a different type of planet, you need plants and animals there in order to keep it that way. So you bring those from a different thing of planets. You have to have a certain amount of carnivores and herbivores and different types of plants in order to support it at that level before it just reverts back. That's one thing they do in Spore.
Do you think you could do it in this game?
I don't see the reason for it.
Because it would be awesome.
Like, yes, it would be super cool. I don't see a gameplay reason to have it. You know what I'm saying? Like, what would be the point of that?
I don't see a gameplay
What would be
reason
the
for
reward?
having, like, trading in the game, but it's cool.
Because it's fun. It's a mechanic.
There's no
the
risk. Exact same thing that I did.
Risk, reward. In trading, there is risk and reward. That's why it's fun. Risk, reward, terraforming. What's the risk? What's the reward?
The risk is destroying the planet. The reward is basically
But
changing
destroying
the planet
is
to
not
your
a risk
liking,
to you.
or
It's just the planet would be gone.
Yeah.
When trading, you could
fine.
possibly lose a bunch of money because you traded improperly.
yeah, you kill everything that's on the
I'm
planet.
thinking of something that affects you
You die.
directly.
Do you think it would be a quest to recolonize a dead planet?
Okay, that's not a bad idea.
That's okay. That's actually okay.
And
So-
Ryan, your argument isn't valid now.
Ryan actually likes this idea.
Oh no,
That's
I think Ryan has a very valid point that you'd have to look at what the actual
reason behind why you
exactly
want
what is the reason why. Is this part of a lore? Is this one planet or moon in the solar system? Was this the center of that solar system, and now for whatever reason they burned all the resources on there and it's dead, so now it's time to resettle that planet?
Could you take a planet with, like, we'll look at Mars as an example. You know,
Speaking
a
of which,
Mars-like
Mars, we
planet.
need to find oil on Mars so people get serious about going to Mars.
That's a good point.
If we just found oil, everyone would be like, holy crap, everyone, we need to go to Mars. Give NASA a bunch of money so we can finally go there. Makes me so mad. What happened to the days where we
Why do
actually
you-
cared about going into space?
'Cause
What
there's
would
not
there have
really
to be
What
any-
does
on
it have
Mars
to
to have
offer
oil?
us physically at the moment?
I have no idea.
You have to have
You
life.
have to have life.
You
Oil,
have to have
is,
life
oil
to-
comes from
We've already
carbon,
found out there
which
was
is from-
water on Mars.
They did have oceans.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean
So
that
we're
they
getting
had
close.
life.
Do you
I
know?
know, but we're
But do
getting
you know
close.
how unique life is?
It is.
It's
The stupid amount of, like, stuff that had to happen in the exact perfect way for it to happen, for even like bacteria to start forming, like single cell like eukaryotes and prokaryotes. Like, oh my goodness, Ryan,
just
you
to
don't
even
know.
create a cell wall is it's a magnificent feat of nature. I mean, life is not what a lot of scientists make you believe, that there's got to be life out there elsewhere. No, there doesn't. That's what you have to remember.
No,
that
Jeff, there has to be
but
life out there.
No, there doesn't.
That's the
Life.
thing, yeah.
Otherwise, we would see life everywhere. Life is unique. Life is hard. This is not an easy concept to grasp. Life is not an easy thing. No one has been able to create life, no matter. We have the air conditioning.
Oh, air conditioning.
It's heating up in here. No one has been able to create life out of nothing.
Out of nothing,
No one
exactly.
has been able
It's
to
never
do
been
that.
done.
Ever. Nothing. Life is very unique. Otherwise, we would see it everywhere, and we don't.
Yeah. Even if you get the stepping stones, you have to get the stepping stones, and then you have to go through the 10 billion other steps that, have a 0.001% chance of ever happening, and then have all of those happen in the perfect order to even, get started. It's pretty ridiculous. So, it's interesting. And that's something that I'm actually very interested in how, kind of bringing it back to, the elements and stuff like that, how that's going to take into effect in this universe. Yeah, 10% of the planets have life on them. That's 10% of the planets.
It's a lot more than what we see
That's
now.
a ridiculous amount.
That's right.
Is only 1% of planets are very lush, 10% of planets have some life on
Some
them.
type of life. Okay.
90% of planets are barren.
Still.
That's still.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not realistic in any way.
No.
Or maybe they have some type of science to back that up, though. Maybe
Or-
the Atlas put all the
Creates
life out
life.
there.
How much,
And now it wants to document it.
and how much terraforming has already taken place? Oh, I put my headphones in and I watch the videos and I look and I see and my brain goes all over the place. I can't listen to anyone else. I just put them in and I focus and
Or maybe who's running the Atlas then? Who made the Atlas?
is
If the
there
Atlas is
is
making
there
everything.
Who made the Sentinels? They're everywhere, man.
And
Maybe
they're
Sean Murray's
self-replicating.
running the
And they're
Atlas.
self-replicating.
and is Atlas a synonym for something else in today's culture?
Ooh.
Whoa, man.
There is an S
What
at
if
the end,
Sean's
too.
actually a hipster and he's trying to give us all a lesson about humility?
I
Shush.
don't think I'm gonna be honest, I don't think that's what it is. Right now, I don't.
Where, like, you get to the end and it's just like, humans suck. Be a good person.
That's what's at the real center of the
Humans
You know what's at the
suck,
center
be
of
a
the
good
galaxy?
person.
Most humans suck. Do better.
What if it was just like under the Atlas was just Sean Murray's head?
I think I'd... You know what? I would be okay with that.
I think I would be too.
I think everyone will be okay
I think
with
it
that.
would be like literally the perfect. You get there and you're like, I can't even be mad because you've done all of this and hyped this up so much that this is the final thing. This is impressive.
So you're saying Sean's head is conceptually the face of God?
Could be. I mean, he honestly
Has anybody
is.
not thought that?
When you look, I mean, when you look at it to this
Oh,
caliber,
Joel, I am so sorry, honey, that we let you marry this guy. I'm so sorry.
I know.
We could have talked you out of it.
If I...
If only you had offered
wanna
a bigger
make a
sum of money in that bribe.
Do you want to make a cult with me, Dylan? A cult of Sean Murray?
Ryan, you've already been in too many cults throughout your life. Don't join another.
What comment
Drinking
are we
the
waiting for
Kool-Aid.
to get a nice gathering of our followers together and have some really fine-tasting Kool-Aid?
Okay.
I'm
Joel,
excited
you
for
and Melly
this.
are coming to live with us. That's it.
That sounds good.
All right, we need to move
Yeah,
on.
I'm sorry.
No, but this is like
All
I
great
hadn't
questions.
even-
They're gonna be up all night thinking about this.
I-
you know?
goodness.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I took too long
God,
on
no.
these things,
No.
but
These are-
That was the point of
This
this.
is stuff we hadn't
These
even
are,
like gotten close to thinking about. And
these-
now I have someone who I can actually like kind of like. I'm definitely nowhere near as smart
Oh,
scientific
yeah,
wise as you, but
I feel
I
like
mean-
Dylan is more my son-in-law than Ryan is
Yeah.
almost here. So you know that's.
And you can clean the house.
Ryan, I think you're the intern now, to my understanding, if I'm getting this correct. Right.
I'm kidding, son. I'm just kidding.
Now he's gonna cry.
That'll be an emotional moment where
That's
you
how
have
hard
a
I'm going to
song
cry when I
voice.
play Outlast later.
Yeah. Oh god, that's
God,
gonna
that's
be
gonna
funny.
be so crazy.
If you fix your grandparents' computer, you're good. You're
Oh,
good.
there
at
we
this.
go, there we go.
I'm
You're
on top
You're
of
good.
Hey.
Well, it's just
All
because
right.
that's the job you don't
Alright,
want.
let's get
Thank
back
God,
on
yes.
the old discussion.
Focus time. Everybody ready?
Okay.
No.
Are we on to discussion?
We're going on to discussion. We got to go fast.
Zoom zoom.
How long has it been?
Too long.
Over an
time is
hour.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, we're perfectly
I'm
fine.
so sorry.
That was the point of
Oh, we
this.
got live stream in about 30 minutes. All right.
Eh.
Ogbulu House says, do you think there will be rarer minerals the further down you go, like Minecraft? Love your podcast and keep up the dank memes, Dylan.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes.
Do you think that would be a thing? I know there will be
I
different minerals underground than there are above ground.
Well, rarer minerals. So yes, they're going to be harder to get a hold of because they are further
That's what
down.
makes them rare, is
If
because they're
they're-
hard to get a hold of.
if they're any rarer than the ones maybe at the caves you just get to compared to the caves you get to at the very bottom of the... I mean, do you think there'll be rarer things near the bottom than the caves near the top?
Yes, considerably. I mean, again, now this is actually involving geologic stuff. If you're actually looking at it like this, the further you go down, if they were looking at it like this, okay, let's look at diamonds. Like you have to find diamonds very deep in the earth because they have to be under a lot of pressure for a very long amount of time.
I always thought you could just like kick some dirt and you might get some come out. You know?
Oh, God.
Did you actually?
No, maybe gold, but
You pick them off a
That's
tree, right?
understandable. Yeah, diamonds
so
come
you go
off
pick a
trees, right?
diamond tree.
trees, right?
Right next
don't
to
even
that
get me
pickle
started
tree.
with the pickle tree.
Well, it's an interesting question. Think about gold. Gold is very heavy. It's rare. it sinks. It goes through as things erode, everything settles down. Gold is found at the lowest levels that it can penetrate, usually next to bedrock. So, yes, that's a distinct possibility.
Cool.
It would definitely make sense if they did that.
Obviously, not confirmed, but
It would make sense if they're going to be. I'd imagine they would. Yes.
Daniel Stewart
I wanna read this
says,
one.
"I'm here for the footage of Ryan naked."
You will be disappointed. That is all I can say.
End of last episode, we were talking about me being naked. I don't remember exactly what context we were talking about.
When aren't we talking about this, Ryan? Like, let's be honest.
You can watch me scream like a little baby in the punishment we're about to record after this.
That's close
If
enough.
that's close enough to me being naked, then
And you're not getting spanked.
Well,
somebody might like freak me out from behind while I'm trying to play the game.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Wink.
casually winking at Ryan.
God.
Gosh.
All right. Do you want to go to this next one?
Joel, do you want to grab it?
CH4J.
Sure.
Okay.
CH4G, not J, Ryan.
Ryan can read.
That game looks so fun. I want to try it with my brother.
What game is that? Nidhogg. A lot of people enjoy that. That's why watching us play that.
I'm so good at Nidhogg.
It's the little sword fight game.
I'm very good at this game.
Okay.
You guys should go watch me
We have a Let's
destroy
Play.
Ryan.
Ryan has played this for God knows how many years. If you ever get even remotely that good, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just so you guys know, I'm just going to plug ourselves here. We're doing Let's Plays now. We release them every Thursday.
Sure, that's
Whenever
when it
Dylan
happens.
feels like uploading them because he sucks. But thank you, Dylan.
I'm not paid enough to. They don't pay me enough. So I'm kind of using
Here,
like
we'll give
I'm
you
kinda
100%
banging-
of our profit.
I'm kind of like banging my. Oh wait, I'm still not getting paid.
You're
then.
only the intern, though. You should have,
You should work hard for nothing. That's the point.
Oh, wow.
That's the point of an internship.
Do I get fed today?
Wow.
Oh, Ryan.
Seriously, it's a lot of fun.
No, it's actually-
you guys should
it's-
look it up.
it's
We're
really
doing
funny.
another one tonight with a different game. Do you want to spoil it? What it's going to be?
Well, do we even know
You already
yet?
spoiled it.
Star Wall or Mount Your Friends?
I'm voting for Star Wall.
Mount your friends.
I'm voting for Mount Your Friends.
I want Star Wall. Oh,
Too bad.
they suck.
All right. So that'll be up when Dylan decides to upload it.
Never.
Daniel Clift says, I don't have iTunes, so I'm using this, so I guess this is my review. I'm really happy to find this podcast because I haven't found any long-term No Man's Sky podcast out there, except for this one. I find a relationship with each other help make the podcast what it is. I do have one question, though. I'm not sure if it has already been asked. If you could add one feature into the game, what would it be and why? Thanks. Also, 5 out of 5. P.S. We'll do a review on iTunes when I can. Joelle, if you kick the stand one more time, I'm going to beat you.
You've already bumped it like twice.
Hey,
And then he will beat you.
that's my daughter.
Oh, don't worry. He likes to make that joke because I'm the one who beats him.
That's
Yeah,
true. That is
that's
true.
true.
She beats me pretty hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what is a feature that we all want to see added that we don't know that's in the game yet? We'll start with Jeff.
Oh.
In the spotlight.
Wow. I think you're going to have to come back to me because my brain is still processing a lot of things that I just saw this past week.
Joelle.
It's probably not like the biggest feature I want. I'd have to think more about this year. But off the top of my head, just one random feature I'd like to have is scanners in your ships to help you scan planets. And
Already the game. All right, Dylan.
No, but it's not been like to what. To
You
what
can
extent?
watch him use it in one of the E3 stage demos.
Yeah, but
He
like-
scans the whole planet in front of you. From the outside of the planet.
Yeah, but like how detailed is gonna be?
It shows up all the points of interest on the entire side of the planet.
It's not scary.
okay, something that can help you identify different life forms that you might not have already found. Something that maybe you could see underground and help you find cave systems. That kind of scanning. That's much more
It's
in
just
depth.
an awful idea, in my opinion.
Ryan's getting a middle finger in his face from Dylan, which
No,
is
this is-
appreciated.
this is not
Thank
happening.
you so much.
No one.
You guys can't see anything.
All
All right, Dylan, what do you think?
Oh.
If you're not ready, I do have something.
No, I think for me, something cool that like it really hasn't been like, I guess shown in the game. Maybe. Just kidding. You go.
Okay, I was thinking some sort of progression system, and I already know there's something in the game for this. Shut up, Dylan. I already know there's something in the game for this because I've seen it on the top left corner of the menu where it says he was like a journeyman or something like that, and there was like a progression bar there.
Some type of leveling.
So it's
you gain
a
experience.
personal progression?
Yeah, a personal progression. Yeah. The way he explained it at first is that it tied in with how good your hyperdrive was. But I think that may have changed by now because I didn't even see it in the newer menu when we saw the new HUD. Like it wasn't even there anymore.
You can have like Skyrim perks.
That'd be cool. Like little things, like really small things, but you can choose them, and it would just be really neat to kind of, I don't know.
Something like finding bobbleheads.
Yeah. Find a bobblehead, you can like shoot a little bit faster.
Sean bobbleheads.
3 times damage.
Oh. Okay.
I like this. I like this Sean bobbleheads.
Or Joe Danger bobbleheads.
Oh, that's good too.
I played all those.
I like
games.
that.
Those are fun. All right.
That's Hello Games'
Jeff, back
first
to you.
game that they had.
I have a lot of unanswered questions yet. Actually, Joel took one of mine. Has it been shown, because I haven't seen it yet, can you, for example, if you do not have a quality hand weapon, can you attack life
Melee?
forms and other elements on the surface of the planet from your ship? Say you've got a...
I've seen fighter combat in atmosphere, so I could assume so. Like they've shot at other fighters inside the atmosphere, so you think you'd be able to shoot
but
like
can
the ground.
you harvest from your ship
Mining
and
from your
attack
ship.
different life forms and minerals that way if you do not have the capability?
I know you can mine asteroids with the ship, so there's a decent possibility. Why is
I'd
it?
imagine.
Can you just turn down the volume if it keeps doing
Yeah.
it? It's on the side.
So,
Okay.
So I've seen that for sure.
I would like to be
Yeah,
able
so
to
hopefully.
do that. So if you have some way of doing something meaningful, if you are unfortunately pretty weak in some respects, at least you have other ways of getting the things that you need.
Right.
And I guess it'd be interesting to see because I mean certain planets are definitely very, very ridiculously deadly in comparison to others. So if you'd be able to stay inside your ship and safely get minerals, make discoveries, things along those lines, that'd be interesting to see. Or if it's some
Play
type
like
of
a little
upgrade.
baby.
Some type of like very strong, kind of almost late game you could consider upgrade.
Yeah. Okay. So Dylan, did you ever think of anything?
Yes. So
Wow.
one thing that I would like to be in the game would be almost a... Would you be able to basically track which... So, you know, I know animals migrate and things along those lines, but basically tag animals, I guess, and track them around the planet.
That'd be fun.
Like migration patterns, even when you're gone. And like, you know, this is Billy, like the animal, like the goat, Billy the goat. And then there's Bob the goat. And then there's like, and you could be able to track them
I
around
had
the
him in my
planet.
cargo, and then a pirate shot that cargo out, and he suffocated poorly in space. It was awful.
No, I'm talking more like
Poor
moving around
Billy.
the planet.
God, what's wrong with you,
And then
Dylan?
all of a sudden there could be like a red, like, you know, there's like, if you're looking through like a list of things, like little Billy is, you know, one day all of a sudden he's green and he's all good, and then like the next day he's like a yellow color, and then the day after that he's red. And it's like, what happened to Billy? And then you go back and you find Billy's skeleton and he was mauled to death.
That'd be a cool feature.
That would be cool.
But just the general tracking
even
of animals.
so you can get resources from those animals, correct?
Yes. Like you
So-
kill an animal, you get resources?
I don't think so.
No,
You get money for discovering them and scanning them.
but you get no resources from the taking of that animal.
I don't know. We haven't seen any of that yet.
So what if you
interesting.
do? What if there's some unique, like whales produce? What's the stuff they use in perfume? the ambergris that they use in perfumes. It's basically whale bile. They produce something very unique. What if you find an animal that produces this unique resource? You track that animal so that you can watch it reproduce and selectively harvest, so that you never run out of your resource.
Poor Billy.
Good.
One downfall of that, you'd be stuck going back to the same planet over and over again.
And Sentinels will be watching you closely.
What are you doing over
But
here?
still, that'd be a really cool thing
No,
to
but
be
like
able
you
to
could
do.
even take this even further. You could set up a farm. You could set up productions. You could do this with plants. Then like,
Yes.
this is
I'm just imagining these white gloves squeezing random animal teats and getting different produce
wrong
from
with
them.
you?
even on. Okay, let's take
we
this
gotta
even
get him on the
further.
farm
What if you
more,
find
Joel.
What if you find a farm on a planet
This is
already?
the guy who asked me what
of a
labor
race.
was. So.
I'm sure there's probably stuff like that.
So
That
if
would be
the
cool.
animals produce a unique resource, that's a way of tracking their movement. You can track the resource.
You know, Dylan, the vegans aren't going to like you for this.
Oh, that's okay. They don't have to.
I've always thought that all animals should die cruel deaths.
You're a terrible person. And we just lost.
If you want us to send in
Our
hate mail and death
entire
threats, I'll give you our
viewership.
address.
Just kidding, I swear, but it was really funny to say, okay?
PETA's gonna be all over this. Okay.
We're gonna.
PETA doesn't do anything useful, so they're not gonna come.
Oh!
Wow, they just doubled down. Okay.
Sorry if any of you like PETA.
Well, you know,
It's not my goal to offend your opinions.
I hear that objectifying women really helps animals. Not just from what I hear.
Also
That's what
helps you
PETA
get-
does. That's like the only thing they do.
It's objectify women?
Yes.
It's not wrong.
You should
Yeah,
look
you
at
should
like
look
their
at
Facebook page.
yeah.
All I know is that PETA made this junk of that shearing sheep kills them, and they have like this beat up little baby sheep. It's like, nobody in the right mind is gonna shear a baby sheep. You gotta be pretty desperate to do that.
Oh,
And
just for
it was
background, Joelle and Jeff are in the sheep business.
Yes.
And it was a model. It was a fake. It was.
Yeah,
It was
that
a made,
clearly wasn't real.
It was a model. It wasn't even a real animal.
Just like the model in the next picture that says, "Don't shear sheep. I'm sexy."
You know what? You're gonna learn a
So-
cool fun fact here. Domesticated sheep can't shed their wool like wild sheep. So if you leave the wool on those sheep, it will eventually crush their internal organs, as well as all the droppings that come out the back end. Those are gonna clog that entrance up too, and the sheep's gonna die. So PETA, if you got your
become a
way,
really interesting
animals will be
episode
dying a
all of a
horrible
sudden.
death. Have fun with that.
Amen.
Sorry.
That.
So sorry.
Actually.
All right, Dylan's got the
Okay,
next
so-
one.
Okay.
Yes.
Next question. It's
Right.
actually not a question, but
It's
it's wonderful. All right, somebody
kind of a
else is the name. Ryan sounds so much like Michael Cera. Does he look like him as well? Imagine Michael Cera, cross him with Sean, and you get neither of them looking like Ryan at all.
Okay.
I'm not seeing where you're getting the he sounds like Michael Cera though. All
I
right,
don't get-
Joelle is like
I don't
literally
get-
jumping out of her seat. Go.
Ryan looks exactly about 98% like Ryan from High School Musical. Google him, Ryan, High School Musical. It looks almost just like him,
do
but
it on
in
your phone,
but
no.
in slightly weirder
Stop
clothing.
talking.
It's the greatest thing ever. Plus, his name is also Ryan, and
Oh.
you will seriously never live it down.
Apparently, he's also gay.
Oh no.
Oh, they're the same person.
My son-in-law.
They're passing around a picture
Oh.
of this guy.
It's a picture of Ryan.
My
I am posting
goodness
this to the
gracious.
discussion page.
That would be a good haircut for you, actually.
That would actually be a good
Wow.
haircut.
That
That's
is
sexy.
eerie,
Yeah.
similar.
That is eerily
told
similar, Ryan.
Just look it up.
This is your long-lost twin that your parents never told you about.
Ryan,
I wish I could sing.
Twins are in his family,
Ryan,
so who knows?
I
my.
think this is going to be.
He even does his hair like
They
me.
kept Ryan for scientific research and gave up the other child.
I was gonna say they used to tell Ryan he was an alien baby dumped in the dumpsters, and
They're
that they
not-
found him there.
They're not wrong.
Probably not.
That was a good talk. All right, on to the next one.
Wow.
Yorobashi says, came here for Half-Life 3 confirmation, was not disappointed.
You gosh darn right.
It's just
You gosh
Oh.
darn.
everyone wants a Half-Life
Yes.
3, but it's
Alright.
never
If
going
everyone
to
doesn't know
happen.
already, Half-Life 3 is confirmed. All right, now on to Milk73. Milk. Not milk, milk.
With an E.
With an E. What terrain generation do you guys and gal wish to see? I'm a big Minecraft player myself and can spend hours just looking for those rare, magnificent gems of land that you'll only see once. Then, of course, blow it all up so no one else can bask in the glory of what I find.
This is
So-
a man to my own heart.
So Melk is really Dylan.
So this is we're not gonna. So on to the question.
I am a big sucker for floating land masses.
I am too.
Absolutely a sucker for it. I love it. Just like in any like sci-fi universe or fantasy universe, if there's like floating islands, I love it.
I think it was
feel you
perfectly
there.
done in Avatar.
Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah,
So
it looked great in
beautiful.
Avatar.
Ah,
I don't know why, I just like it. It just looks cool.
very interesting.
I'd be
So.
interested.
And I've seen them in trailers already.
yes.
So,
How would that function then?
oh no,
Are we going off of
Oh, boy.
some type of magnetic field?
I'm assuming so.
I
But yeah,
am-
there are floating land masses in a couple of the trailers.
So you are talking about the air floating land masses.
Yeah, they're not sitting on anything. They're just floating. And
Were you thinking of like water floating, like just a
I
chunk
thought they
earth
meant water
floating?
floating,
No,
like
air floating.
bog
I thought-
islands where it floats from all around.
But you could have both. I
yeah,
don't
true.
see why not.
I think that'd be the coolest or the
How
best
would it-
terrain would be, like a planet fully water, no landmass on it. Everything you have to do is underwater, cave systems.
Oh, I think they've
everything.
already confirmed fully water.
There
land
Have they?
masses.
are.
Yeah.
Oh.
But you got to get a good
That's
suit
what
for
I
it
really want.
if you want to be under there long enough.
Oh, and then to find some like giant sea creature that's like kind of like when Emerald Weapon is chasing you around under the water, and all of a sudden it's behind you and you're
that stuff
screaming.
actually scares me. That stuff scares me.
I know, right? Wouldn't it be the coolest?
So yeah,
Do they have ships that can also?
go underwater.
Yes.
Not anymore.
Oh.
They haven't decided whether they want to implement it again. They used it in playtesting and they didn't like it, so they got rid of it. So they may or may not bring it back.
That actually makes me a little sad because then that makes exploring. Or you could have like a
If you have a really-
detachable,
if you have
like,
a-
a
you
sub,
can- I'm
like a
ass-
tiny sub.
I'm
Yeah.
assuming you can get your suit to a point where you can be underwater forever, and then you can just explore to your heart's content. And remember, you can see points of interest, so you're not wasting your time like just going straight under and what can I find? Instead, you can kind of follow those points of interest to kind of help you explore. So it wouldn't be that annoying to do it on, just like how you would do it on foot if you're outside your ship on land. But
Yeah, I would
Can
like
live with
some
that.
type of maybe like detachable, like an explorer ship, something like that. That we have a detachable pod that you could essentially
that
get.
could be a perk that you
that
get
could
for
be
a ship
lowered
like that. Yeah.
essentially into the water, detached, and then you would have a hub, like a like a waypoint to your ship, and then you could take this out so you're not like swimming through the entire ocean, but it travels a little faster underwater.
Oh, that would be cool.
That would be really
That would be
ridiculously
really.
cool.
That would be
freaking
really cool, I admit.
And then
yeah.
then you follow the tiny little light at the bottom of the ocean into the mouth of something.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Somebody
Tease
needs
it.
to do
Oh.
fan art of that, please. Please do it
Scared
for us.
myself here. This is stuff that's like.
Sean, you can do that. Delay it another week. Oh
That
my.
would be
Okay.
so-
Don't say that. Don't say that.
I'm sorry. sorry.
All right, TDC says, although the game was delayed, in parentheses, I am still stoked for its release. And with this podcast, I can be up to date with the latest information. One question, though. How do you guys and gal... Oh, no, I should do it.
Please don't do that. Please don't ever do that again.
How do you guys and gal think this game will perform in comparison to a game like Overwatch? Ugh. Also,
Don't even.
what is each of your guys'... Here, we'll start with Overwatch.
So yeah, let's answer this one.
Okay.
How do you think it's going to compare in how well Overwatch is being received?
Okay,
right
well,
now?
there's no microtransactions in No Man's Sky, so it's not going to compare, like, money-wise, because Overwatch has microtransactions. Blizzard's fan base are so obsessed with their games, they're going to make a ton of money off of microtransactions.
I will say, okay, this is one thing I will say, and this beats out, like, I'm a very avid League of Legends player. League of Legends, you do actually have to, like, physically play the game a ton or purchase things that can actually help you out in game. Like, that is something that is in the game, and that is like that. If you play a ton, you can get all the things eventually for free. Overwatch, the only things that you can purchase are strictly cosmetic.
Right.
You get every single hero, you get every single map the second it's released into the game.
Right.
So it is, there are microtransactions, but it isn't a pay to play in any way, shape, and form.
But the thing is,
which is
that
something that is really nice and something that the
I think
community
people really
likes.
absolutely... That's the thing. People really like it, so I think that
Yeah,
people
and
are
that's
taking
why
advantage of
people
those.
are
I don't think
okay
it's a
with
bad
that.
thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad thing. I just think they're going to make so much money off of just the microtransactions alone. Possibly, I mean, everyone I've talked to that has paid for microtransactions in Overwatch has already paid more than the retail price of the game just in microtransactions.
I haven't.
Well, not you, but anybody else I've talked to. So, I mean,
Who else
All
have you
two
talked
people?
like 2 people.
to?
Shut up. But yeah, I'm just saying, like, I know multiple people that have spent at least
God.
$40 in microtransactions already on a $40 game.
It's understandable. Like, I can understand how they would be able to do
And I have
that.
no problem with that. That's fine.
Right.
That business model is always going to outlast the just straight up pay and play. Not saying that you can't play in Overwatch. I'm just saying a game that has absolutely no microtransactions isn't going to do as well. I mean, it could do as well units sold, but Blizzard's going to be...
Microtransactions are not what keep games like these going. It is patching. Patching
which
is
is
what keeps
paid
games
for by
alive.
microtransactions.
Think
about
it. No, I understand what you're saying, but patching of a game is what keeps something running.
But for
and if, like Sean said, he's going to be patching the game.
But Hello Games is patching it for free.
Exactly.
They're extending their own
We're saying
time
the same
to...
thing
I
here.
know.
Right.
But I'm
now.
saying they don't have any extra
We're
money
not
to
talking
do that.
about we're not talking about microtransactions. We're talking about what's
When,
keeping the game
I
alive.
don't know. This is what I'm saying. If
Maybe we're
even
getting
though they
off
patch
topic.
things, when they patch things, they
Maybe.
might have more audience members come in and buy the full retail game, but they're not
Minecraft.
getting any more microtransactions. So there's a limit to how much money they
Okay.
can make.
Here's something to counter that. Minecraft. Minecraft has no microtransactions.
Well, actually, it does now.
Well, now,
It has
but
tons
for
of
the-
downloadable content now.
Well, okay, fine, whatever. But the fact that the game was literally just kept fresh by adding aspects to it, adding new things and patches.
We'll have our own commentary over here. The two seem to be getting closer and
They
closer as they
just
talk.
keep getting closer.
The
Right.
magnetic force
Now that
between them is...
practically the same person.
Yeah,
I think that if No Man's Sky becomes a phenomenon, which there is a chance, it could easily
Very
outpass Overwatch. On the other hand, if it just becomes a niche title, which is totally okay with me if it does, it will not overpass it, and that doesn't matter to me if it overpasses Overwatch or not. I don't even want to play Overwatch.
It's so much fun. Play Overwatch.
Ryan's
Don't
just
listen to
bitter
Ryan.
towards it for unknown
They're just totally
reasons.
different games. Like, Overwatch is gonna sell because most gamers like competitive gaming.
It's a very competitive game. Ryan's not a competitive
No Man's
person
Sky is a
'cause
niche title
He's
that-
bad at everything and
that's
doesn't
true.
like losing.
All right, so let's carry on with the question here.
All right. He says, also, what is each of your guesses about how much money No Man's Sky will make in its first week of launch?
Oh.
Okay.
I don't know enough about that type of stuff to even tell you.
Do you know how much games actually make? I can only think of like units sold.
Right.
Versus, like, how
when
much
Call
money
of
it's gonna
Duty
make.
lists their units sold for opening night. And,
Right.
Right.
I think that No Man's Sky. You know what? I just saw a very, very hyped up game get delayed. It's for PS4. It's a PS4 exclusive. It has like robots. It's like post-apocalyptic, but like there isn't a lot of technology, and then for some reason all the animals are robots. Does that ring a bell for you?
Yes, I know what you're talking
It's
about.
super hyped, and people are really into it, and they delayed it recently.
Yeah.
Just like No Man's Sky was delayed. And people on the comments are like, oh, okay, that's okay. And it was delayed all the way to next year. All right?
Oh.
And they're like, yeah, okay, that's all right. They can keep working on the game. No backlash at all. And then I saw the No Man's
this
Sky
was coming.
backlash, and I'm
Here it
like,
comes.
holy crap, people are freaking out. I think no matter how much media outlets, excuse my French, shit on this game like they do, because they do.
Oh, no, they
If
do.
you go to any media outlet, like online at all, there's always, everyone's like, yeah, but this game's not going to live up to the hype. This game's not going to live up to the hype that they have placed, actually, that Sean Murray has not endorsed. I think that whether they say that or not, there are way more people hyper excited for this game than any other game that's going to be coming out soon. Like, people are obsessed.
No, I agree.
I'm obsessed.
Really?
If you haven't figured it out
Really?
yet.
I can't tell.
These types of fans do not exist for all those other types of games. Like, these are very particular
This
types.
many of these obsessed
Especially
fans.
for a new IP, it's incredible how people are
I think
into
that's why,
this
though.
because it's such a good new idea.
It is something no one's ever taken to this extent,
The game will absolutely be successful no matter what.
hands down.
It could be a terrible game, it will be successful no matter what. Do I think it'll overpass other games? Possibly. Overwatch, possibly. Overwatch has probably sold a lot of copies.
As
But I don't know.
I think it's going to hit Minecraft levels, personally,
so?
because of how accessible the game is. Just going to be you pick it up and play.
And its longevity.
Right.
That's the key.
Mhm.
What? How many quintillion?
18 quintillion planets.
That's a whole nother subject that I was going to bring up, but we don't have time for. So
Next time.
So no, the longevity of this game is going to be what's unique about it.
I agree.
All right, and then TDC says, and one more question, if it may have been answered already, but what do you people think? Think about
What do you mean, you people?
racist. Think about the possibility of any DLC content to be released, and if so, what do you think that will bring and/or take away from the game? Thanks for the amazing podcast. Looking forward to the next week's. Why'd you do that?
just
You
forget how to
screwed me
read?
over there.
Oh, whatever. Can you not read in your head?
So when it comes to DLC, we already know that they're not going to be releasing DLC, quote unquote. It's going to be patched in content, free content. As long as you buy the base game, you'll get for free, and everyone will get it. So there won't be any chopping up of the player base or anything like that.
Well,
What?
as long
Unless
as
you
you're
don't have
online.
internet, then it doesn't
unless you
matter
play
anyway.
all online, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough, fair.
What do you think it'll bring to the table? Well, there's a couple things it can't bring. First of all, the procedural generation is already done once the game is released, so they cannot adjust the procedural generation. I'm just assuming that, but just the way I know that games are designed, it wouldn't make any sense if they tried to change the procedural generation. It would screw up everything. Even if they only changed the procedural generation for planets that hadn't been discovered yet, which is definitely a thing they could do, it would make the balance of what kind of planets are what all screwy, and it would kind of ruin the core game, I feel like. So most likely, I do not think they're going to change the way any of the generation is going to work.
I don't think they're going to change any way the planets or creatures are probably going to be, or beings are going to be created or generated. I think it could be things added into the game of certain types of ships,
Yes.
certain factions, certain it could be even races, honestly, could be added in. They came from another galaxy or universe or something like that.
Right.
Things like that could be patched in. I mean, certain types of buildings could be patched in, and then, those would be on planets, certain types of space stations. It would be things that are not physically on planets.
It would have to be gameplay mechanics, gameplay
Yep.
things, not things that are already physically in the game.
generated, yep.
Yeah. But there's a lot of potential for that. They can absolutely add a lot of things with that. They just have to be specific of what it is.
What if they do change the parameters for when you skirt the black hole and get shot out the plasma stream to your next galaxy, and they change that for the next galaxy?
We actually already have a theory that that's already done. Like, they've already decided that every galaxy has different parameters. Yeah.
Ooh.
Or
Wow.
is it
my.
shooting you out to another galaxy? Or is it shooting you out to the same galaxy in another dimension?
Or is it warping time forward or backward to the same galaxy?
Everyone is
Now-
crapping.
And now it
Oh,
has just
now
gone too
that's-
far.
No, but it isn't though, because that's like actually something that is very viable.
Oh no, like too
That-
far as in like everyone's minds are blowing up.
Oh,
now.
yeah, no,
We're all
our-
kinda-
our minds
we're
are
all
gone.
just, like,
Yeah,
Already.
so that
like
could
more than we can
keep you in the
physically
same
comprehend at the
galaxy, but
moment.
warp time to a different state of time for the
Time in
entire galaxy.
Like millions of years. in the
Years
future.
or prior
Ooh.
or future.
Ooh, and then
But
there
you
could
would
be
still have somewhat of. You could basically still have like in your ship's system. You could still have tracking of planets you've been to, so you can go back and see all the things that you've seen and what it was like long ago.
you could go back in time and see those alien races you only read about in the runes
right.
on their planets.
Or planets have not been colonized. Go back to see who made those monoliths.
See who, if the Atlas was there at the beginning.
Ooh.
Where are the Sentinels now? Ryan, are you okay? Is your brain just gone?
He just highlighted everything green. Oh,
I just realized we're totally out of time.
we are.
Okay.
We have gone over an hour and a half now, I'm pretty
That's
sure.
alright. That's alright. But
She's
still,
guessing.
that's a.
I'm going to have to leave a lot of
there's
these
so much.
discussions just left in this
Maybe
document.
that'll be our
That's-
next episode.
That's
all
the-
discussions.
mention-
That's the
about the
greatest thing
discussions.
about black holes. With that theory, it creates so many different parameters it can go to because space and time don't exist in the same parameters when you're near a black hole. So what happens?
Nor does gravity.
Yes.
You would really like Interstellar. I'm just.
You would
telling
really like that
I'm
movie.
just telling you right
I don't
now.
like to cry.
It's okay. It's not. It's
You,
honestly,
it's 85% science.
straight
Like
science,
it's like
and
straight
good
science.
The science
too.
part of it is really good, but there's the whole underlying very, very
Okay,
sad
it's somewhat
thing to it.
it's somewhat sad, but it's not. We're talking like it's the saddest movie I've ever seen. Like,
Sherilyn
it is
agrees
very,
with me, so
Really, really well done.
you know there's a point if she's
science-wise.
agreeing with me.
It's not that sad. It's honestly not that sad.
Everyone,
Yeah.
everyone
And I
listening to
get-
this
and I
podcast
have-
should go
I'm
see it.
Maybe it's a
very
woman thing that we all
emotional
think
about
is
this.
sad.
Yeah, Sherilyn can squat 300 pounds, and if she thinks it's sad,
Yeah.
yeah, she's no wimp. So, yeah.
By the way, my wife's the state champion for.
Nope,
squatting.
your mom is not your wife.
My wife, my mom. Sorry, I get those mixed up all the time.
What is
The mommy
wrong with
issues.
you?
He does
Are
call me
you
mommy.
okay?
Should we call him Oedipus now?
Do we? Yeah, a little bit of a.
Okay, to finish my thought,
my goodness.
my mother is a state champion
Seriously.
for her weight class for squatting. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
That's actually kind of cool.
do not mess
I have a magazine
with
article
her.
about it you can read, Dylan.
No.
That's actually pretty
She
cool.
is the squatting
If you
queen.
ever want to meet a badass,
Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure we've seen her take down some of her sons.
That's fair. That doesn't
So,
take too
with
much.
ease.
Though.
lots of good,
Yeah, fair
lots
enough.
of good discussion this week. I feel like
One thing for the future.
Right.
So we're kind of expanding a little bit, and we're not going to be able to hit every single question, every single comment that's being sent in to us anymore. Unfortunately, we're going to do our best to grab ones that we haven't really talked about, or would, I guess, spawn the best discussion that we possibly can. From this point on. So if we don't get to all your questions, we really apologize. We really appreciate everything being sent in to us, but we're not going to be able to hit everybody.
Right, and we'll
anymore,
come back to some
unfortunately.
other ones, even if they're a little old. If I really liked them, we'll come back to them on the next episode. So, just so you know, because there's a couple of them that I really want to talk about, but we don't have enough time, so I'll talk about it next week. And just to do a couple of finishers here. Once again, thanks to all of our Patreon supporters. We really appreciate it. If anybody doesn't know what Patreon is, it's just a way for you guys to support the show with your moolah. You can go on there and support us if you'd like. We really appreciate it. And once again, just thanks for everyone who's already supporting us. We really, really appreciate you guys supporting what we do. We have our Facebook page. All of this is going to be at, you just look up No Man's Sky Explorers, you'll find it. Our Facebook page and Facebook group. The group allows us all to chat with each other, and that's where we get all of most of our discussion topic stuff. So YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, we're on all of it. Twitter, we have a Twitch. If you guys want to watch us stream, which we're about to do right after this, we generally stream 10 p.m. Central Time every Tuesday. So we play a game with the community, and we chat with you guys live. It's a lot of fun. And thanks for all of our fellow explorers just tuning in and listening to us, and appreciate all the kind words you guys give us all throughout the week. I read it all, and although I don't acknowledge all of it, I read all of it, and I really, really appreciate all the kind words you guys give me. So
You validate his life, and that's a big gift for us. So
For all of
Thank
us,
you.
it is, yes.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for having me on and allowing me to bring down your podcast a few notches.
It
You
brought up the podcast so many notches.
few 3 or 4s this coming week in reviews.
we'll
and
let you know when we get the reviews, and it's like, we hated Jeff.
Hey,
I think it's going to be more along the lines of, can we please kick Ryan off and have
Yeah.
Jeff be on there permanently, please?
Why doesn't Ryan clean the house?
Why doesn't Ryan do anything?
This was a big honor, so thank you
No,
guys.
thank you for being on. I think
Thanks
we
for being
should-
on. It was
you
so
had-
much fun. We had a lot of good conversations.
Oh my gosh.
It's a little
This is
too
probably
much.
this is my favorite episode so far, hands down.
Oh, what a
We got all
nerd.
sciencey, man.
I think
This
Dylan's
is,
about
this
to
is
adopt
the
a second
best.
father
I think,
here.
I think I just have a new son
the
here.
best.
So, yeah.
The best. All
All
right.
right. Thanks, everybody, for joining. We'll see you next week. Adios.
Bye.
See you guys.
Sayonara.